on action. Welcome to Intuitive Development. Grab a pen and paper. I see Joycey grabbing her pen and paper. Make sure that you grab your pen and paper because this is all going to be a very high level training today, but you're going to want to take a lot of notes. We're going to do a lot of active work today while we are in this training, in this meeting. And the purpose of today is really to help to create the mindset and the value set and the clarity that's needed for you light workers who are ready to emerge, to be seen, to move out and start specifically creating offers. This is about the entrepreneurial light workers. Hi, Krista. I'm glad you're here. So, Krista, grab your pen and paper if you can. If you're not working, if you are working, I will have a recording of this, but make a point to come back and do these exercises, even though it's good. Joyce, I know Joyce likes to do exercises like this, and I'm not sure how much Nancy or Krista likes to do them, but I, at some points in my life, have loved doing them. Some points, like recently, I've gotten busy. I felt like, we get a little cocky in we feel like, I don't need to go through like writing out what my perfect day looks like. I've been writing that to my journal for I don't know how many. Okay. But recently, you guys know there's been a lot of up-leveling going on in my life. And I have had a lot of different business trainers help me with the different parts of this idea of creating offers and how we can go about doing that. It's just like opening the records. Truly, there are many ways to go about doing it. And this most recent way, when I gave myself over to the process, it changed me on so many levels, very multidimensionally. What I realized was happening was that we were template creating. So that's a lot of what we're going to do today is we're going to do a lot of template creating. So who knows what I mean when I say template creating? Come on, Joyce. I know what you mean. Seriously, I'm gonna take you off mute, and I want you to like we're in a tag team to answer.
See, that was why I was like, should I say that I do?
Oh no.
Creating the energetic blueprint, channeling that groove so that we know it enough to be able to just stand in that so that we can effortlessly flow that for others to be able to grasp.
Love Joycey. I love that you're doing this too, and there's so much embodiment that it's like you're bringing it into your body. This is what is hugely important. And that in and of itself, the recognition of we have to be able to embody fully what it is that we're here to do. Now that shifts and changes. So in some regard, we want to be very clear and specific, but don't let that limit you to the bigger picture that this will shift and change and grow. So what's alive in you now is so important. Like right now, that comes through in these now moments. One thing that I took away from Costa Rica was if Spirit is sending you a message, act on it in the now moment. That is the only possibility. It does not mean, oh, in the future or when I do this. Nope. It means right now. So in this time that we have here together, there's template creating, there's blueprint creating going on. So I'm going to invite you to participate in this with that level of sacred understanding of what it is that's being created here. I also want to get a feel for what stage of your business are you in. So I'm just kind of glancing around and seeing who's here. Let's type this in the chat box. So if you have already moved into a business where you are offering services and you are getting paid for those services, let me know. If you're just on that brink of where you're crossing over and you want to do that, let me know where you are. So I want to know where you're at in your business, first of all. And please type those into the chat boxes if you can. And I also want to know, because I'll be able to tailor this a little more specifically for you guys who are here. What are your goals? Where do you want to go? Okay. Awesome. Miss Nancy, I tried the speaker view thing, Nancy. It wasn't working, so I gave it up, and now we're in the gallery. Krista, mind mapping, new possibilities today. Yes. Nancy, have crossed over but not fully engaged. Cool. Thank you, Miss Nancy. This will help you get really, I'm going to write that down because we want to get more engagement because Nancy's crossed over. The third to the fourth dimension. Awesome. Krista wants steady monthly clientele. Ooh, I'm glad you're here, girl. Because that's really part of a big part of the formula that I'm going to give you guys today. Steady clientele. Trying to visualize his courses and manifest time. All right, cool. Hang on to that, Miss Krista. Hi, Kat. I see you popping in. And be open to what comes in today. You know, I'm all about courses as well. What I'm going to work you guys through today, it's truly a little bit easier than doing courses, and it's a great place to start. Nancy says, he. Awesome. Okay. Kat, what I was inviting everyone to share in, I think you might have heard those pieces, but let me know where you're at in your business in terms of, are you already broken through that barrier where you're taking on clients and working with clients, or are you at that breakthrough point? Joyce,
I just got my technology figured out and just joined in, so I apologize. I didn't hear the question.
Nice. I will repeat it. Uno más. I love being able to talk a little Spanish. I speak Spanish. Okay. I'd like to know where you're at in the business, in your business, meaning have you broken through, you've got clients, you're getting income, or are you at that place where you're like, nope, I'm ready to create what my offers look like and starting to make money doing this. So let me know where you're at in that phase. And then I also would like to know what your business goals are. Okay. I know we've got people joining in and there's a lot to cover. So I'm going to keep moving while you are typing those things in, but we will definitely go back and check in with all of those things. Okay. This exercise that we're going to do, that we're going to start with, is it truly does not matter if you are just starting or if you are up leveling in your business, because I think we have starters and we have some up levelers here. This is one of the most powerful exercises that I have ever done to what we're going to do today to get really specific and clear on how I can show up for people, how I can put it all together. Nancy, thank you for putting the questions in there. All right. And truly it starts with your mindset. We talked about this is going to be a lot of template creating, a lot of energetic template creating. Yes, I'm going to give you formulas, good formulas for business structure today, but this energetic template, your understanding your importance of mindset and the importance of you valuing what it is that you're here to do is a hugely important part of the process. And embodying it is the difficult part, because we tend to, continue to push away how much value that we actually have to give here on the planet. And this is something that really has to be realized in yourselves. And I also want to honor every single one of you, because you're here at a time and you're doing this when there is a huge shift happening on the planet. We're the ones who have agreed to be here on the forefront to figure out what does it mean to embody this, to move forward, to bring energy healing and consciousness like this to the forefront during this time. And there's a certain amount of our own shit that we move through to do that. Like we incarnate as a human being, so we have all the issues of a human being, and you guys are moving through those. So I'm excited for you, and I'm proud of you, and I want to tell you thank you for being here. And I know that it's hard work to learn to really like deeply embody all of the stuff, all of our value that it is that we're here. Okay, I'm going to talk to you. First of all, build a little framework for you. This is going to be a meta part of the conversation. Then we're going to dive in and start writing stuff. Okay. In terms of our breakout phase from the matrix, from the 3D, and I'm talking about you guys as individuals, not your clients necessarily. Okay. As star seeds becoming star blossoms. I heard that from somebody else, by the way. Here's what it looks like when it's, and I see many of my Akashic Record students on here, so you guys will definitely resonate with this. You know that it's the importance of the questions that really is what unlocks stargates, what unlocks portals, what unlocks timeline shift. It's not about answers. It's about, are you asking the right questions? And what I realized, it's a specific question set that we ask ourselves. Intuitively, we ask ourselves. I'm going to give you language for it today, but you'll notice yourself having done this intuitively along your path over the past years, months, weeks. When we break fully from the 3D into the 4D, the questions we ask ourselves are, who am I? Why am I here? What is my mission? How can I create a job for myself that is not part of this 3D experience, standing in my value, helping others? All great questions to ask. Those of you who have studied in the records, you know that the who am I and the what am I here to do, being able to witness yourself through your own blueprint of the Akashic records like that is an incredibly powerful experience. And those of you know that this is like, I'm still relatively new in my timeline journey of showing up and teaching this. It's only been a couple of years since I've been doing this, lifetimes, but a couple of years since I've made this transition. And truly learning to read the records and giving people a framework to break out of 3D into 4D is what learning to read the records is all about. It's not the only way to do it. That's a damn good way. But what I realized is that there's 4D to 5D to go to now. Okay? And I'm not rushing anybody where we're at on our path because we're all resonating. It's like, look at from 3D to 4D to 5D. I want you to see a beautiful, like a scale, like music notes, see the scale and then see where all these harmonic frequency, these beautiful notes at different places along the way, and we move. Where you are is perfect to hold the vibrational frequency of this beautiful tribe who's moving from 3D to 4D to 5D together. So do not rush yourself. Sometimes you might bounce a little bit back and forth places. But I see places of myself. I mean, shit, I got places of myself that's still stuck in 3D. I'll just be honest with you. I'm getting a lot of myself settled up in 5D, but it's a symphony as it begins to coalesce for you. Okay, so the questions that take you from 3D to 4D are, who am I? Why am I here? What are my gifts and skills and services? How do I show up and get everybody else up to 4D with me with this? And then the questions you ask yourself to go from 4D or 5D to 5D are, if I could do anything, if I could be anyone, if I could go anywhere, what would that look like? You see that I've started to ask myself these questions, which is why Shasta can be born, which I'm so excited about. Which is why the next level of the Akashic Record training for graduates can be born. Because I've not only gone through the embodiment of my own next phase of transition, but I've received the questions and I understand what questions unlock those next phases. You getting good at asking the right questions to your clients will be a key to how effective you are in this work. And it's something you'll get better at. The skill is deep listening. And I've had to learn to get better at that because I like to talk a lot. So deep listening will be a huge key for you in learning to not only listen to yourself and what questions that you're asking the universe, because that will kind of tell you where you are. And again, don't rush where you are, but it'll give you a little framework. When you're going from 3D to 4D, it looks like whatever job you had before, you don't have anymore. You have a job that is a spiritually aligned job, and you're getting paid well for it. Okay? You got to be able to get to that phase before you can make the next jump. But we're going to start mapping. Mine's mapping it out. I love that Krista said mind mapping. While that is true, you can't rush and pull yourself through the process. Another hugely valuable tool that I want to give you guys today, that is not the way I started. This is different. I can only tell you this because I learned from experience. Let me make sure that I say this right. Start where you want to finish when you're creating your offers. Okay? None of this start with $50 for, sorry, pardon me if I'm outing any of you guys, but I'm only telling my own personal story. I'm not actually telling your story, even though you think I'm outing you. I'm telling my own personal story. I started, my sessions were like $50 an hour. Everybody got friends and family discount, so it's $40 an hour. Oh! And that's not where I want to finish. You know, I see myself as Tony Robbins style. That level of excitement and ability to shift people and hold people to move into their highest standard of themselves. Not $40 an hour. So I had some growing in to do. But It was because I hadn't necessarily been given a formula that I'm going to give you guys today. And I hadn't undergone the experience yet of learning to stand in my value. So one of the kick-ass things that you guys, my mom's not here, so I said bad words all day. One of the kick-ass things that you guys are going to get from me is the time crunch of that. I've tried a bunch of different formulas. This is a combination of stuff that's really going to work for you, and my experience moving through it. Not only in this past short bit of time that I've been experiencing a huge up-leveling, but freaking every amount of my Hollywood stuff, the issues that I got over of not giving a crap of what people thought and continuing to try and go and to get big, just by being in this sacred container and working in this container, I give that to the space. And we all give our own unique energy to this space. So I'm really excited because I say, wow, that's a powerful lineup. Let's go. I got light workers here who are ready to step up and really get big. So with the pen and paper in hand, we're going to dive in and start. The most important thing to know is your why. You've heard Simon Sinek start with why. It wasn't until I realized that the work that I do is going to equalize the playing field of all human beings and allow us to all be equal and love each other equally, because it distributes resources equally. Stacy, I see your hand raised. Thank you for that. There will be Q&A at the end, so I'll go back to that if you want to. If you want to type in the question to the chat, or make a note so you don't forget. Because I get off track like this, and I'm like, what was I saying? Hang on one second, I'll get back. Hopefully. What was I saying? Who knows? Okay, extra points if you guys can remember what I was saying. Is that Kat? We were going in. Nancy says we were going in. Oh, yes, I know what it is. It was the why. Okay. It wasn't until I understood that the Akashic Records, like I said, levels the playing field for humanity, because resources are unequally distributed right now. We think of money as the number one resource. It's not really. It's knowledge, it's data. And once we're starting to make that shift and learn, and I got a little plan up my sleeve that equalizes that for every single person. But there's an essence of a foolproof nature to it, because you can't get into the higher realms unless you do your own soul purification. But this understanding and realization is the start to a huge shift in humanity. And it wasn't until I realized that why is this so important? How does this change the planet? That I could really give myself permission to step into my value. So I want you to just write down now, and it doesn't have to be in beautiful language that you're going to go back and refine this later, but start writing down why what you do is so important. I'm going to give you just a few minutes to write that down. I'm checking with Stacy's questions here. All right, Stace, I'm wondering if when you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in levels, that you might be talking about the dimensional layers. I'm not 100% sure. I did talk briefly in the beginning about 3 to 4 to 5D, just a bit of the differences between those. But I really want to stay focused in this training on creating offers, not necessarily explaining those dimensional shifts and layers, but there is a little bit of information about that in the beginning. So I'll invite you to make sure you watch the replay on that.
Can you hear me, Emily?
I can hear you.
I'm trying to get back in on my computer because I can't see the chat on my phone. Where's the Zoom link? I realize that's ridiculous, but I can't find it.
I just posted it in Facebook, in the private group, the Akashic Academy members only group.
I was on it a minute ago, but.
Okay, I think I can. Oops.
Let's see. There, I found it again. Thank you.
Awesome.
Sorry.
All right. I'm going to give you, I see Joyce is still writing. Joyce can write a lot of great stuff about how she changed the world. Got her quiet down. All right, so the next thing that I want you to do to brainstorm is all the metaphysical techniques you can do. All the cool stuff you can do that you know about. You know about past lives, you know about future lives. What kind of, you do inner child work, write it all down. Fine. You can keep thinking about, because there's, oh, that was one thing I forgot to say at the beginning, is that you're not allowed to not write anything down. You can be like, all right, I gotta feel into it. But you know how to open the Akashic Records. I know that about you. So you know how to open the Akashic Records.
Can you repeat the first one for me again?
The first question was, why is what you do important in the world?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Also write down the non-metaphysical things that you can do, because sometimes we don't think of just like talking and counseling with our friends as necessarily the channeling that we're doing. Stacy, to answer your last question, yes, after this, I can send you your email and password. Make a note for myself to do. But the easiest way to access any of the information that's going on in the Academy is always on Facebook, by the way. Send email and password to Stacy. Now, when I partook in this activity with the understanding of the up-leveling that was happening for me and that it was allowing me to stand in my value, it got really, really deep. So allow yourself to just know that, like, this is what I'm walking into right now. I'm transforming myself with everything that I'm writing down. Jen, I also know that you hold tremendous space for people. You don't judge at all. You also stay very, very calm. At least what I've seen. You might have your moments. I'm going to give you maybe another minute to write, and know that you can come back to this too. Like I said, we're high level today, moving quickly. So you can come back in and fill in more of this too. The next question or list of things that I want you to brainstorm about yourself is, what is unique about me? Unique. I said that. I tried to say it with a lot of passion, and it kind of didn't come out so clear. What is unique about me? I feel like I need to sing or something. Play some nice waiting room music. Cool, good. I'm glad I see you guys still writing away. I'm going to give you a little more time while you're still writing. Feel free to get absurd too, okay, about the unique things about you. Allow this to be an exercise in playful playfulness too. All right, I'm going to give you 1 more minute to wrap up this part. I'll just tell you this next one is a doozy, but you don't have to do it right now, which is good. But I'll be honest with you, it made me really uncomfortable and I wanted to skip it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna skip that part. I'm not gonna do that. I'm fine. I don't need to do that. Talk about templates and talk about being multidimensional. I love entrepreneurs, man. I'm realizing, like I said, just like I realized that the records are what equalized the playing field, entrepreneurs are who change the planet. Because and storytellers, I think, because of and scientists who do the research. It's not the politicians, it's not the people who make the structures. We make the structures. And said I've just had like really deep levels of realization of who's doing what around here on the planet. In order to be a really good entrepreneur, you got to recognize that you're taking a stand for people. Okay? Being an entrepreneur and sales and creating sales offers and all of this stuff, we look at it under a certain construct, and I want you to begin to look at yourself as world changers you're here to take a stand for people. And that's how you're changing the world, by all of these beautiful, unique things that you're starting to see about yourself. Okay? We've got to get really clear on the value. So now that you're starting to see and paint this picture of what is unique and special about you, I want you to go back to that list of things that you can do now. All of the things that you wrote down. And we're going to write down tangible and intangible values of each one. And I want to give you guys just some practical examples of what I mean by that. And I'll use just real time what's going on in my life, which is the creation of the speech for Harvard. So I'm writing down the different things, the different topics that I want to make sure. These are the points that I want to make sure that I hit. And then I'm going back for each one of those and I'm writing what are the tangible and intangible values of those. So the intangible, what I want to bring to Harvard, the words that I use are I want to educate, I want to uplift, and I want to inspire people. The intangible things that I want. Tangibly, what does that mean? Well, when I say I want to educate people, I mean I want people to walk away with an understanding and awareness of what the Akashic Records are. That easy. Okay? Uplifting for me, uplifting means like literally changing someone's vibrational frequency, shifting them, creating an upliftment right there in that moment. Tangibly, how do I do that? I tell funny ass stories. I make them laugh. Because laughter is medicine, and it creates that uplifting effect. That's a tangible effect that I want people to enjoy their time, to be entertained while they're there. Don't think that entertainment isn't a really valuable aspect of how you show up. Be fun. Okay? Inspire. The tangible aspect of inspiring people, I want them to know how they can slow down their energy and connect into the records if they want to. I want to inspire them to begin to know exactly how to do this. That's the tangible inspiration that I want to leave them with. Oh yeah, you can go in and do that. Try that. So go back through each of the things that you wrote down that you can do and jot some notes about what are the tangible benefits people get from this and what are the intangible benefits that people get. Stacy says, I already have this done. I'm going to encourage you to do it again, because that is one aspect of how you can use this sacred space, is to recognize we're creating a unique sacred container here in these moments. And I've done these many, many times too, extensively. Okay, then this might not be the class for you today, Stace, especially if you're super busy and there's a lot on your plate to do. We're going to be doing more exercises like this of making lists and beginning to connect pieces, because it's such a powerful template creator. And if you have lots, you're not super busy. Okay, then I'm glad you're here. I know that there's a lot to fill in on this, so I'm going to give you guys between 2 and 3 more minutes. If I see pencils, stop writing after 2 minutes. Then we'll move on to the next one. But if you need the full 3, and you might even need more to come back, like I said, it's high level today. We got to go fast to get a lot done in an hour. And just again, while you guys are working, I'm just going to energetically be moving this into the timelines, bringing awareness to the sacred nature of all coming together with the intention and the creation and the examination of ourselves today. So grateful for all of you. And another spiritual truth, and I haven't really hit on this yet, but I wrote a whole separate page of notes about it just to make sure that we hold the integrity for our own spiritual readiness and our own spiritual journey. And because of the Akashic field, the way that karma works, there's a natural protective build-in for us, meaning until we have learned to really embody and hold a vibrational frequency after transformational experience and process, we don't truly hold the anointment to walk others through the process yet. Okay, there are certain people who come to me, and I'll just be serious, truthfully honest with you. There's certain people who come to me who want to work with me, who are willing to pay top dollar to work with me. And the frequency that they are wanting to hold in their life is an area where I'm truly still learning to hold my energy at a balanced place. And as much as I have all of the knowledge that I could give to that person that would get them to the place where they needed to be, and I 100% believe that, I got to be honest with myself, and I haven't learned to hold myself steady in that area yet. It's a big wake-up call of the importance of always just never being too cocky with yourself, always holding yourself. And this is the beauty about the Akashic Records, is it lets us not lie to ourselves, but not feel bad about it. Like I said, we are where we are. We are where we are. Stacy, I love you. I'm so glad you're here. Moving from stress to peace. Okay, so it brings us beautifully to the next question. And that is, what transformational experiences have you been through? What areas of your life have you transformed? And you're learning to hold your energy. Stacy just so beautifully is learning to manage her own internal energy, where she can allow support and healing to come into her, and she can adjust her frequency in a very short period of time. And these can be arranged from that one. That is a little more intangible, although like I freaking know exactly what that means. I feel like that's very tangible within my body, but I might classify that in a more intangible category, whereas a tangible aspect or a tangible transformation you might have walked through is maybe you healed from an illness, maybe you transformed after a divorce, maybe you have released an addiction, maybe you have created a new job, maybe you have had psychic awakening. Maybe because of that, you've been able to heal family difficulties. Your hand's gonna hurt by the time we're done. You'll be like, oh man, I just wrote a whole new timeline. My hand hurting. We only have a couple bits more to go, and then we'll go do a little energy work just to sit and digest all the information that's come through today. Okay. Now quickly jot down, and a lot of these things aren't dissimilar. Is that two double negatives, which pretty much mean they can be the same. They might not be exactly the same. And as you go back over this and you begin to think and refine it more, and trust me, these questions are going to stick in your head all day. And you're going to have other things pop up. But it's similar, but it's not the exact same. What kind of results can your clients expect from working with you? What kind of transformation can they expect to see? All righty. Feels good to move my body. Thank you for letting me dance while you guys are working. That doesn't seem quite fair, does it? Mm. All right. I'm going to bring this back around full circle to what Miss Krista was talking about in the beginning about creating courses, and she was holding space to bring in courses. This is not a bad idea. Courses are fantastic. It's just not what I'm teaching here today. But I will tell you guys, courses take a substantially bigger lift than what it is how I'm about to pull this all together for you. But the reason that doing courses is so valuable, one, is because it, dang it, I forgot the word right as I needed the word. It helps us be more effective with our time. All right. Basically, it helps. There's a good business word for it. Scale. There it is. Thank you, Mark Cuban, sitting in my ear, because I watched a lot of Shark Tank. It helps. It's a great way to help us scale our business, meaning you can bring more volume in with less time showing up and actually working with someone. But I will also let you know that it requires a significant lift. Okay. Here's what I'm going to suggest to you instead. Kat wants to say something. Yes, Kat.
What do you mean by lift?
Like birth. Birth would be another word. It's a birth. That's a big baby to birth.
Okay.
Heavy weights to lift. Not impossible, but this is going to be more effective and get you moving in a way that you're going to have income coming in where you can really focus on what that course looks like. Okay. You guys see all the great value that you bring to the table. Go back, look over your notes there. You see all the kinds of transformation that you can walk your clients through. This is another place where I'm going to ask you to get brave enough to finish where you start. Start where you want to finish is what I meant. Don't do individual one-off sessions. You have too much value and there's too much transformation that you can walk people through. It doesn't happen in one sitting. It happens when you develop a relationship and you work deeply with people. Okay? So consider that you offer coaching packages. All this stuff that you can do, you walk people through. Maybe it's 3 sessions in a month. Maybe it's 4 sessions in a month. We're going to talk about the math, about how to break that down a little bit more. But we get so caught up in our mind of, oh, I'm an Akashic record reader, so I guess I do Akashic record readings now, and I guess that means I do Akashic record sessions, and I walk. That's how I went through the process. It's not bad. This is far more effective. And you guys are far more talented. That if there are smarter ways that you can show up and align all this energy, I want you to have those tools. I want you to be able to do that. I want you to be able to learn from. I would even call it a mistake. I've just learned a lot, and I've learned how and why. Yeah, work smarter, not harder. I've learned how and why certain things work the way they do. Furthermore, I know because you're all sitting in this space, this sacred space with me, and I know how powerful my mission is, that you wouldn't be here unless you had big things to do. And I'm going to invite you to step into that and work with clients that way. Work with clients over the course of 1 month, 2 months. This is where you're going to have to start putting the pieces together. But we're going to talk about how to price your stuff quickly and math formulas. Now, I do have a course that teaches other lightworkers how to create their own course, and we do it in real time. We go and we open the records, we do all of it. It's really fantastic. When I'm talking to my students in that course about how to price their offerings, we talk a lot about the intangible. So I'm going to give you the intangible mindset that I want you to adopt, and then I'm going to give you a damn physical formula. This real tangible that you can begin to implement, okay? First of all, this $40 an hour, like I said, that I started out doing, once I started calculating how many sessions I was going to have to do a month, like I couldn't work 24/7 and still have an abundant lifestyle. I just couldn't do it. I didn't figure that out until I was already doing it. I'm like, hang on a second. This ain't going to work. It's all excited about becoming an entrepreneur and a light worker. And I'm like, hell, I still got this. I got to figure this out. Which is when the class was born through me. And I got to say, like, again, it's not a bad way to go. I'm a natural teacher. I can put together protocol like nobody's business. So it naturally came out of me. And I'm so glad it did. And if you do still feel called to make a course, I'm not going to deter you from that. I'm just letting you know there are other things that you can do to help align how you want your timeline to play out. Okay. This style of coaching over like a package series creates that same energetic quality. Okay. When we talk about value in the course creation, I tell people this isn't how much do you, like all that pay, you got to shut it down and you got to say, what is transformation worth? How big of a transformation do you want your clients to have? Because that's what the price tag is truly. Because of the value exchange of commerce and money, if we were using a different symbol for that value, and someday we might be, but you must think about this in terms of the value of the transformation. How big do you want this to be for them? And I'm not saying that you have to overprice your offerings. You're gonna find what works for you. But I'm finding for me, when I make that stretch and invest in myself and my business that way, that's when that's when I could embody it. It was after I had done it, and I was damn excited to do it too. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it's scary. It doesn't make sense in the old paradigm, but the old paradigm is false. Okay, in order for this work to take the forefront that it needs to in consciousness to shift everybody, we have to place a very high value on it. And we have to embody that. So I talk to my students in that about how much value do you want your clients to receive? Like I said, it's a little intangible. It's a little woo-woo. Let's break it down and get it much more commercial, okay? What's your desired income? How much do you want to make doing this? Now, I said, start where you want to finish. If it's not reasonable, if it's not reasonable for you to make $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month at this point, I'm not inviting you to play small, but this is the realistic part of it. This is where like we're getting down to the math formulas, and I want you to see that this is actually doable. So repeat this with your big, 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 huge number. But how much would make sense right now for you to be like, oh, hell, all right, I got this. I got enough security right now that this feels really, really good.
Is this how much money do we want to make right now, in the next 60 days, in the next 6 months, over the next year, where we want to end up, all of the above?
Yeah, and thank you. There's stages of it, right? And that's why I said, if you want to make $100,000 a month doing your mission, God bless you, do it. But if you're not at a stage where you're making $100,000 a year at this point, I can't crunch your timelines that much, because the reason you're not making $100,000 a year or $100,000 a month is because you haven't embodied that much value yet. So I want you to get to that place, but for a really practical number to show you how you can start implementing this right away, how much money do you want to make next month? $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $2,000? You got to go from 4 figures to 5 figures before you can go to 5 figures to 6 figures. So whatever you wrote down that you'd be like, all right, yeah. Now I want you to stretch yourself a bit. stretch yourself a bit. I'd give yourself like a 10 or 20% boost on that, okay? Where it'd be like, oh man, I don't even know if I have the potential to do that in the next month. Where you have to start kind of dancing, like moving it around your body, okay? I'm going to suggest to you that you divide that by 5 clients. Okay? And you create an offer that is that much value, whatever your numbers are, when you start breaking that down. And you begin to create this structure in your mind and heart, because as you begin to see this and as you begin to hold space energetically for this, those people who are meant to walk that transformation with you are going to begin to show up, because you're getting more clear about what this looks like. Trust me, you've already shaken hands, soul contracted to the people who you're going to reach out to this month, next month. As a result of this work that you're doing.
So when
Oh, sorry. Oh, dang it. Say it again.
So when you say the people we reach out to, do you mean energetically or do you mean sales?
I'm the reach out, the idea of sales and marketing is a whole nother step to this. But yes, it can mean wherever you're at in terms of your comfortability and experience doing that. Not everybody here has broken through that phase yet, and a lot of people have. So take this opportunity to tailor this to you. All right. If you're at a place where you're already making money doing what you're doing, I highly recommend you continue to move this into actionable steps. And yes, you create marketing, you create reach out, you write posts, you go to your clients before. Oh, that just made me realize I totally forgot something before because I got off track. The really uncomfortable part. Okay, I'm going to go back to that. You want to make sure, like I said, when you look at that price, when you break down how much you want and you divide that by 5 clients and you're looking at that value, that number, it's probably bigger than you thought it was going to be, make you feel a little like, all right, this is where I got to stretch. Go back in and start assigning different protocols that are going to meet that value. Okay, that list that you wrote before about all of the different things that you can do, we wrote down tangible and intangible values. Go back and put a dollar sign on those. And that's going to help you kind of piece together, oh yeah, I'm seeing that we could do, when I take somebody through, I'm going to use Kat for an example, because, and I'm going to use your animal stuff. And I know that you've had a lot of things shift and move since then. So you might have even had some shifting and moving since then. But I know when Kat and I began working together, she was doing a lot of work with animals and humans and animals, and healing and bridging gaps and communicating and all kinds of stuff. So, and Kat, I know that you have a lot of other areas of knowledge and expertise. You know, let's say and I can't remember specifically everything. I know that we've worked on chakras before, but maybe part of whatever the animal illuminates and brings forward that needs to be worked through is chakra work and understanding. So when you take a client, when you're working with them every single week and you have time to explain what the chakras are and how they work and give them tools, protocols on how to work with each one, that's worth a significant amount of shift and transformation. Okay, I'm going to give you one more quick template, and then I'll answer some questions because we only have a few minutes. I do have a client on the tail end of this that I need to get to. If there are more questions that you guys have, though, please go into the group and post them in the members only group. I'll just make it easy for us all to keep track of them. I'll just say any questions about today. Post here. Okay. All right, this final little bit, what's wrong with working a couple times a week and upping the price? Are you talking about doing individual sessions, Stacy? Or are you talking about doing group? Then I had one guy who charged $9,000 for 3 months, but I didn't take his course in the end. There are lots of different philosophies. So this is just the one that I'm giving to you guys today that I feel called to share because it's a powerful process, and there are many people who are on the verge or restructuring their offers right now that this can be helpful to. So if you have another way to go about doing it, you are welcome to rock that way, Miss Stacy. All right. Here is a great marketing statement, a formulaic marketing statement that you guys can use that makes it pretty easy, starts to make it pretty easy. All right. You give yourself your title, what your title is. Okay. Or Akashic Record practitioner. If you're a practitioner, I'm Emily Harrison, Akashic Record practitioner. I help people blank so they can blank. And actually, I'm going to fine tune that even a little bit more. I help you blank so you can blank. Talk directly to one person. All right, rock and roll. We had time for 2 minutes of questions. So if anybody has a question, you can raise your hand now. Stacy, you had your hand raised earlier, but I think that you had been communicating in the chat. Oh yeah, what was the uncomfortable thing? Thank you, Miss Nance. I'll tell you guys. Jen, let me answer your question though real fast and take you off mute.
I understand from the beginning that light workers need to earn a living and make money.
Mm-hmm.
Yet when we're pricing ourselves, I want to make $10,000 a month, 5 clients, it's $2,000 a client. I'm thinking about people who are coming into their enlightenment that don't have $2,000. Where is the charitable aspect of light worker? Not that we should give it away for free, but at some point, there's people that can't afford the services. Does that mean they're not entitled to enlightenment?
No, that doesn't mean that they're not entitled to enlightenment. But we have to recognize where we're telling a story for somebody else. And truly, like I'm to the point at this point, it's hard to bullshit me, like lying to yourself about where your money is. I had $1,000 to my name, bills that I had to pay. And I was willing to drain my bank account because I knew that the value was there. If people haven't adjusted their value in their abundance in their life yet to dive in, which you're going to find people like that, that's just showing us that the value hasn't been appropriately placed on what it is that we're doing. And people haven't learned how to break out of the matrix to move into abundance yet. So when they can stretch beyond where they're comfortable, they're creating the energetic environment to allow for their transformation to happen. Now, there are things that you can do if it's shocking and you're like, oh, look at maybe creating that 10,000 clients or $10,000 over the course of a month. 5 clients, that's $2,000 a client. If you're working with clients who aren't at that place yet, take a look back and say, all right, am I at that place yet? Because that's a place where spirit will really call us out. I gotta tell Paul I'm coming. Sorry. Because I want to keep answering this. You can stretch it out over a 2-month period if you needed to. You can make adjustments in that price point for people. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend finding what your sweet spot is and holding that frequency for people. And if they have to stretch and there's ways that they need to figure out how to do it, this is what they need to get over their next hump. This is why they're not making enough money to show up. Because if they show up and want to work with you, Jen, You're in a soul contract. That meeting is a soul contracted meeting. And they're showing up to work with you because they want to work with you, but they're scared because they aren't willing to value themselves at $2,000 for the next month.
Or they're trapped in old energy.
Or they're trapped in old energy. And not everybody will be able to break through, but girl, hold a place for them to break through and remind them, this isn't about $2,000 and about the price of my service. This is about the transformation that you said you wanted. You said you wanted to be able to hold your own energy frequency and not be disrupted by other people around you because people keep taking your happiness away. How many years have you lived like that? How many years do you want to continue living like that? Let's solve it now. This is obviously very important to you, and you've placed it outside of your value range. So again, we don't want it to be like so ridiculously drastic, although I've shared with you guys very openly how much I've invested recently. And I started with I said I was going to tell you that story too. I started with $1,000 investment. And I didn't readily, and Nancy, I will tell you this, the uncomfortable thing. I didn't readily see how the hell this was all going to play out. I had no idea. No idea. But I knew that if I committed to the process and I was willing to bust out of this, and I heard very clear to me, the trust was very, very clear to me, even though it scared my 3D person. And then the universe shows up and provides because the grid is intelligent. And if you begin to learn how to use the grid and you hold that space for your clients to learn how to use the grid too, they will. However, you cannot ask somebody to pay something that's out of integrity. Again, just like I said, out of integrity with what you would pay.
Right.
Okay. So that's another thing too, when I was talking about spiritual readiness, you can't fool spirit into telling spirit that you're ready for a client and to walk them through an experience if you haven't fully owned that energy. So these are all areas where we have to be really honest and clear with ourselves. And sometimes we just miss it. Sometimes, and by the way, I'm not trying to say that anyone is lying to themselves, not by any means. Sometimes we miss it. I missed it. Like I said, I had a client who was ready to invest heavily with me and then decided not to at the last minute. And it wasn't until I was on Mount Shasta and I had a heart and gut check, because I was still in the memory of mourning something old in my life and I wasn't holding my energy frequency steady in that area that was so important to her. I couldn't help her. Like, all right, that showed me a place I need to grow. So that's what our lessons will look like sometimes. Okay? All right. The uncomfortable thing, and then I got to run, and I love you guys so much, is send out 5 emails, please not one to me, because I can't even get to answer all the emails that already come in. But I would love to, please know, I love you all very, very much. Send out an email, 5 emails, and ask people to share with you what's special about you and how you've changed their life. And it's a weird thing to ask people. It feels so uncomfortable, especially because some of them not going to answer. And then you have to do the next uncomfortable part, which is remind them. I nearly crawled out of my skin. This is the one that I was like, I'm going to skip it, skip it, skip it, skip it. And then once the email responses started coming in, it changed me. So read those responses with that understanding of how this is shifting and changing you. Okay. And there's one other thing that I want to tell you about those. Oh, the uncomfortability that you're getting over reaching out right here is another template. This is an aspect of you standing in your value that has worth $10 million more than you think it is in this moment. Okay. All right. I love you guys very much. Leave the rest of your questions that you have on the Facebook chat. Mwah! And I'll see you soon.